It is 8 o'clock on the dot on a Thursday morning. It is September 12th. And in some places it's beautiful, in other places not so much. Good morning to you. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together about 7 days a week. Ish, chat, see what's going on in the world of weather. Let's look outside. Port Canaveral, boy, it's usually gorgeous here, but some coastal rains have been moving on in and giving you less than ideal weather. Let's head just up the shoreline, see what's doing on our tower cam here at the Kennedy Space Center. Same idea as NASA crews are going to work, getting ready for all the various projects they're working on up the shoreline here in New Smyrna Beach. Yeah, it's kind of a dreary start along the coastal communities, but we head inland and we've got the cloud cover, but not necessarily the heavy rains. Here's a live look outside. This is the Orlando International Airport, which you can see that low cloud deck. I'm just checking the visual or instrument meteorological conditions. Not that it matters. All right, marginal VFR for them. So scattered at 600 feet, the cloud deck, I mean, and broken at 1,800 feet. 10 statute miles. So there you go. All right, inland just a little bit, further north just a little bit. Here's downtown Orlando. Yep, looking over toward the stadiums. Not so bad. WESH 2 Studios Tower Cam. Oh man, that's kind of a neat shot, right? You've got the traffic flowing with no problems. The clouds, it's really interesting to see. And then we head over to Ocala. Why not? See what's doing up by you. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So rise and shine, my friends. We have made it to a beautiful morning in some spots, less than desirable in others. What are you going to do? All right, our first warning, live Doppler radar. Let's just check in and see what's doing. And very clearly, we have some rain out there. Let's lapse this. And let me just take you into northern Volusia County. This is where the heaviest ribbon of rain is falling, right over Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, eventually working up toward Butler, Tomoka Farms area, Tomoka Estates. Yeah, Mound Grove, but it's pouring. I'll stop it and just kind of give you an idea. It's pouring rain. There's Hunter's Ridge along 40, Ormond Beach, lighter stuff down into Holly Hill, back over toward LPGA. There's Bethune-Cookman University clearing out around Embry-Riddle. A few light showers around the shores as our live radar sweeps on through here. And then further south into Brevard County, watching nothing crazy in terms of wind or anything, but laps the rain, yeah. You can see those showers around. Back over to Port Canaveral, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, some light rains. And then further south, anything that we're tracking, really heavy stuff is just off the shoreline. Temperatures out the door in the 70s. We are on our way to 90 degrees today. A 50% coverage of showers and thunder showers. So yeah, again, we're going to see some of those storms around. In terms of high temperatures around town, 90 in Orlando, 89 in Leesburg, 88 degrees in Wildwood, and about 86 for us over in Daytona Beach. All right, Futurecast. Let's dial it up and kind of get an idea of where we're headed for the day ahead. Coastal rains this morning. You get a gold star this morning. Looking good. Rains continuing along the coast through 10 a.m. according to our Futurecast model. 11, 12 o'clock, Volusia Flagler, and then we'll start to see the inland areas getting into some stormier weather, right? 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And it looks like perhaps a later start to the inland rains. So there you go. Just some storms around. That's the rapid update Futurecast. I just want to go to the longer range and see if it's kind of in the same tone. Okay, so kind of maybe late range. Let me switch over to the HER model. That's the HER extended. Okay, here's the hour by hour HER. All right, it's loading up. Okay. All right, so here's the HER model. And so coastal rains through the morning and then a wave of energy coming in through the afternoon. And frankly, I kind of like this better than Futurecast, showing that energy coming in from the west through the day later on. And then interestingly enough, like another wave late tonight. So depends on which model, but I think that in terms of like scope of everything, but I think the one consistent point that we see on both Futurecast and the high resolution rapid refresh is this idea that we'll get those storms bubbling starting west of town and then working back into the metro. So keep an eye to the western sky if you live across the inland areas. Sound good? I'll be doing Wesh 2 News at noon today. So there's that. All right. All right. So that's where we're at today. In terms of the next couple of days, what is today? Today's Thursday. Here's our surface map for Friday, kind of showing an old front still over top of us. But you know what? Let's skip over to this. Old front over top of us, but by Saturday and Sunday, we're going to start to watch this area of low pressure develop, perhaps off of the southeastern United States. And what it's going to actually end up doing is dragging in some drier air to us. And so we're actually looking at rain chances dropping for Central Florida. Take a look. Okay, so for today, we're at a 50% coverage, staying in that zone, so still a little higher than normal, but not wildly higher than normal. But by Sunday, even Monday, Tuesday, even into next week, yeah, take a look. Central Florida's certified most accurate 7-day forecast revealing this idea that we start to dry out just a little bit. So our Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I plan on flying. I'm working. My days off are normally Sundays and Mondays. I'm working Sunday morning because Cam is off. So my days off this week will be Monday, Tuesday. And I'm going to probably try and fly both days. What? The weather's so nice. So there you go. All right. 7-day forecast looking good. Questions, comments, concerns, anything? Bo's asking, when do you start watching for the news cycle for next year? Yeah, it's the beginning of October, like October 10th time frame. Yep. Yep. Chad's asking, just wanting to ask if Wesh is going to get Diagrid 3.0 anytime soon. I'm continuing the localization of the templates. The timeline is fluid, and so that's where we're at. But I'm continuing to support our friends at WBBH in Fort Myers, and that's where we're at. So yeah. But I mean, I'm sitting here looking. I've got new I'm looking at the graphics. They're in my computer right now. So anyway, all right. So that's where we're at. Let's talk about the tropics, my friends. Of course, tropical depression, Francine, is the storm to continue tracking. It came ashore as a Category 2 hurricane yesterday. Here's a look at the data on that. Made landfall in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Maximum sustained winds were at 100 miles an hour, though we did read peak gusts at some location. I forget what it's called, so we'll call it what it is, though. Peak gust of 105. So the storm made landfall as a Category 2 hurricane. It has now weakened to a nice big rainmaker. Here's a look at the radar imagery. And what's nice, at least, looking in New Orleans, looking in Louisiana today, they get to dry out a little bit and quiet down. But the storm itself is now moving right through Alabama, right through Mississippi, and bringing a ton of rainfall that direction. Forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center showing that through this afternoon it should weaken to a remnant low. Elsewhere in the tropics, we have Tropical Depression 7 out near the Cabo Verde Islands. That tropical depression doesn't look like much right now. It is what it is. When we look at the forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center, Tropical Depression 7 is expected to continue to work off toward the east, not intensify a ton. As a matter of fact, if we look at what is TD7 is tropical C, so intensity. All right, so here's the intensity models on Tropical Depression 7. You can see they're trying to bring it to tropical storm strength, which absolutely aligns with the Hurricane Center's forecast thinking. And some of the intensity models do try to sneak it up to Category 1 intensity. So there you go. All right, sound good? Questions, comments, concerns, anything? Yeah, we looking good? All right, so that's where we're at with those two areas to watch. In addition to those two areas, we have a few other waves to watch. Let me make sure that this is updated. Don't know that Kellyanne got an update. All right, 20 and all right, so let me update this for her. Bear with me. This is old. I need to update this. I didn't get a chance to check before Coffee Talk. All right, so the bottom left one, that's Invest 94, has a 20 and 20. Hold on. We're making the sausage, people. Come on. That 20 and 20. Hold on. You are 20 and 20. All right. And then the wave behind it is Invest 92. That's 0, 0. Come on. So that one's not going to develop. And then the wave off the coast of the southeast United States has a 30. Okay, perfect. All right. So you got perfect. Yes, I want to change. Give it a second. Thinking, refreshing. So slightly higher opportunity for development here. Lower development opportunity. Of course, there's Tropical Depression 7. And then there's this guy here that is sitting off the southeastern coast. Low end chance of formation over the next 2 days' time, but over the next 7 days' time, there is a 30% likelihood of development. And I would say that this is probably going to be the next area to watch. We've been tracking the raw computer models on Coffee Talk each morning. We have seen them over and over and over try to develop this. So that's something to watch. Okay, good question. Lauren is asking, why are the invest numbers always in the 90s? So let me show you. This is the National Hurricane Center's database. Hold on. All right, we're going to go into the actual database here. Okay, so of course the way that it works. I love that. I love that it's just, yeah, cool. All right, so I've, hold on. See, this is when we work off script and it just is what it is. Hold on one second. I'm going to give you a white background because perfect. Okay, because that's just the way that this computer works. Okay. So this this is the raw National Hurricane Center database file. And so when we look at the database, AL 01 2024. So that is the first name storm. ALO2 2024 is the second name storm. So Francine is ALO6 2024. Tropical Depression 7 is ALO7 2024. And if it becomes Gordon and yada, yada, yada. So anyway, CP, Central Pacific, EP, Eastern Pacific. So invests are always in the 90s. Named storms are always in the lower digits. So that everything we do in the computers has to do with just databasing. Okay? So that's why the invests are in the 90s. All right? just polar opposites of the database spectrum. And yes, that's looks like it looks like FTP. That's correct. That, by the way, that FTP is what we use to keep the back channels open. And to take it even a step further, if you look inside here, let's just look at like, so this is the raw data off of Tropical Depression 7, and you can see this is going so in the weeds, but y'all are watching a flippin' broadcast about weather. So, but we highlight right here, you can see transition to AL07. So this is a case where it became from a database system. You see DB to TD. That's where it became a tropical depression. So we kind of can read the data in here to get even more of an idea of what's coming ahead. Super nerdy stuff that you probably could have lived your entire life without learning about. But again, it's 8:16 on a Thursday morning and you're watching a broadcast about the weather, so I don't feel that bad for nerding it out. But anyway, back to this. This is something that the computer nerd, yeah. But that's kind of what we're looking for in the background, okay? All right. Questions, comments, concerns about anything? I must have already blocked. Oh yeah. All right, here, I'll block. All right. She's blocked. We don't need to troll. Blocked. Gotcha, Debbie, and everybody else. Michelle says, so interesting. I love it. We get a peek behind the curtain. Look, we're gonna go nerdy. We're gonna go nerdy together. I think I blocked her. Okay. Matt says, love it. If it's open, I'll find it. Oh, Matt, I have no doubt that you'll find it. And as a matter of fact, to go one step further, so I used to actually just sit and refresh it, and I found a tool. It's like $10 a month or something that I pay that pings that every couple of minutes. So every time there's a database change, it shoots me an email. So if you're ever wondering, like, when I say things like, looks like we're going to have this, or looks like we're going to have that on Twitter or social media or whatever, it's because I'm pinging that database. And there's certain pieces of that yeah. So anyway, nerd stuff. Jeannie, she's so friendly. All right, if I messed it up, then if I didn't block her, let me know. But I think I did. All right. So let's see here. Sorry, missed the beginning. What's the weather looking like tomorrow evening? Still staying stormy, but into next week we'll change things up. So anyway, let's look at the models on this thing and kind of get an idea of where we're at. Okay. So let's just familiarize ourselves with what we're looking at here. This is the raw American GFS model, that blue purple dot over Louisiana. That, of course, lower pressure. Okay. Watch through time. That's Francine going inland. There we go. All right, so there's Francine going inland. Low pressure, kind of sloppy over Florida. But with Francine going away, Matt says I found it and I'm in. I love the nerddom, Matt. Maybe you can teach me a thing or two about it. All right, so watch how, as Francine pulls away, it kind of starts to ventilate and give an opportunity for something to try and develop right there. And perhaps not just develop, but like come ashore in the Carolinas. This is the American GFS model, indicating something developing. Doesn't have to be tropical, could be subtropical, which, if you're curious, the difference between tropical and subtropical, it essentially just means if it's fully warm core or if it's kind of a feeding off of a front, but not 100% warm core. It gets into the minutia of tropical systems, and we can get into that in a minute. But anyway, tropical or subtropical low, impacting perhaps the Carolinas, then pulling in something out east of town, like way out there, 25 north, that kind of 25 north, 55 west, that kind of thing. Not the building in Orlando, 55 west. And then watching around September 25th, 26th, little something right there around the Yucatan. GFS has been hinting at that. We come over to the GFS ensemble plots. And again, if you're new to Coffee Talk, the ensembles are a way to visualize the GFS Many, many, many different ways. Basically, it's the GFS, but like waking up on 30 different sides of the bed, so you can get an idea. So, ensemble support for something developing off of the southeast coast. And then ensemble support September 23rd, 24th, 25th for something either through Cuba into Florida or something into the Gulf of Mexico. But there's definitely ensemble support for something around the 24th, 25th, 26th in that Eastern Gulf. I would say that that's the Debbie part of the pattern, and that is definitely an area that we highlighted in terms of dates and location for kind of that Big Bend down to about Tampa area. All right, so that's the GFS. Let's switch over, look at the European model. There's Francine. Interesting that the Euro has backed off on developing anything off the southeast United States coast. Interesting. Obviously, Debbie, obviously. All right, so there's that. Let's look at the European AI model. The AI model still developing something, but bringing it into like the North Carolina, South Carolina border. And I've got to say, like, the AI model's actually been doing pretty well, which terrifies me. AI becomes self-aware. Next thing you know, Judgment Day. And then interestingly enough, look at that, around the 25th, 26th, the AI model's trying to develop something to sneak across Cuba and into like South Florida. Thankfully, it's not that strong, but I digress. All right, let's look over at the European ensembles. Oh, it'd help if you hit the actual ensemble plots. All right. All right, so there's the ensemble development for something around the 18th off the southeast United States. No, it's not that, Elliot. And then the 22nd, 23rd. You see all of these little blips trying to pop up at different varying points in time, but the Caribbean and the Gulf and Florida is going to have to watch around from about the 20th to the 30th. In that time frame, ensemble plots are kind of showing that. And as I mentioned, that's the period of time that we highlight. Kind of, it's called the Gulf to Carolina low, or at least that's what we called it on our long range forecast. But there's the kind of zones and the timeline. So again, the 20th through the 28th, it doesn't surprise me that at least for the first part of it, we'll be watching down here along the Gulf Coast. And to that point, we were a day off. This was the Gulf Coast low. June 3rd through 8th, it wasn't tropical and very strong, but there was something there. July 19th through the 25th, it wasn't strong, but there was something there. And then September 3rd through the 10th, obviously that was Francine. And it was a day late, which frustrates me. But look at the path of it. Oh, extreme close-up. It got our hotspot. So there you go. It just snuck over, but it got our hotspot. And, that it counts. So looking at season as a whole, let's just look at where we are for all of the systems so far this season. These were the hotspots that we highlighted on March the 1st. And let me just turn off the cone. We don't need the forecast icon. We don't need observation and annotation. All right. So here's all the tropical tracks. Obviously, Barrel was not in our zone, so poo-poo on us. But there you go. For the season, you've got Francine made landfall. You've got Debbie made landfall. And then, of course, Debbie was the Gulf to Carolinas low, so it made landfall in the Big Bend, came off the shoreline, and then came right back into the hotspot. So in terms of our season, 3 out of 4 landfalls have been in our hotspots. Not perfect. I will never, ever, ever, ever tell you we're perfect. But, it is what it is. Aren't your potential dates plus or minus a day or two? I mean, Mother Nature isn't perfect, so it is going to be what it is going to be. It's not going to be perfect, ever. So that's where we're at, my friends. We've got stuff to track in the tropics. We've got thunderstorms um, for our local forecast, but otherwise, thankfully, we're doing pretty okay. Chris says, when I was validating your hurricane forecasts, you got plus or minus 2 days, so Francine was hit. Yeah. I'm frustrated it's not perfect, but it's just never going to be. Probably not in my lifetime. Maybe in another lifetime, but not in my lifetime. Unless AI helps out, who knows? Yeah. All right. Questions, comments, concerns about our local forecast, about the tropics, about anything at all? Jenny's asking about the 7-day forecast. Sure thing. 7-day. Here we are. All right. Central Florida's most accurate 7-day forecast. Laura says, stop being hard on yourself. Impossible. All right, so Jay's asking, what's the difference between tropical and subtropical? All right, so first off, high storm coverage today, higher tomorrow, and then like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will start to drop. All right, so tropical versus subtropical. It really gets into the minutia of things. A tropical system feeds off the ocean energy. A subtropical system feeds off of kind of multi-level energy. Okay. That said, a subtropical system kind of has a wider wind field. What's Matt say? I have a VBA macro to translate the Hurricane Center files. Now I need to make a scheduled task to pick them up. Look what you did. Tell me what you're doing, Matt. Maybe I can steal some of your coding and stop paying $10 a month on to go scan all of this. Truth be told, all I have is a notification if something changes in the database. So I'm curious what you're translating the NHC files to and what maybe I could. I never even thought of that. What could I do? See, I never even thought of like reading the ATCF files and then like grabbing and doing things. Matt, you're a nerd and I love it. Push me, Matt. Oh, man. Elliot says, I'd say 75% accuracy on a long range forecast is pretty baller. You know, um, there's many ways to look at it. Some would say that a lot of the coastline that we forecast did not get hit. And there's always going to be haters. Remember, haters are going to hate, and without trolls, you wouldn't have an internet. So it is what it is. How would you calculate an acceptable margin of error on a long range forecast? What would be an allowed variance? 1, 2, 3 days? You know, I don't know, because at the end of the day, I'm just trying the best I can. And that was 6 months ago. And so to me, as long as there's a storm system in that area, I'm happy with it, right? Um, it's 6 months, or like we put it out March the 1st. So it's just going to be what it's going to be, I think. I'm not going to sit here and live and die by the long range forecast. I'm putting it out. It's something that gives us an idea, but it is what it is. It's not ever going to be perfect. Yeah. All right. Shake it off. Shake it off. All right. You sparked his geek. That's right. Is Matt a computer science nerd? Elliot, I think Matt's just a nerd. And I say that in the most endearing way possible. Like Chris is a nerd. I'd like to say most of us are. Look, it's 8:28 on a Thursday morning. You could be doing anything on the planet, but you're nerding out. So pretty sure we're all pretty much nerds here. Sorry. If this is breaking news to you, then I'll give you a minute to like settle in. Let me pull up some rain. You want rainfall totals? Oh, by the way, speaking of rainfall, there was just a flood advisory posted for Flagler County here until 10:30 for this soaking area of rain. Now, I've got the radar in like it's really unsmoothed mode. You're used to seeing it like this. It's a lot prettier, right? As the live radar sweeps through there. Yeah. But for the watch and warning plot, I always kind of go more into a raw view. So yeah, flood advisory in effect until 10:30. Um, let's look at the rainfall here over the last little bit of time, and definitely this is over the last 6 hours time. 1 inch of rain and kind of continuing to fall, so it makes sense there. But as far as rainfall go, you're asking over the last few days' time. All right, so let me reset this. Reset this. What are you asking? I'll give you the last couple days because I mean, it gets wild after that. Show accumulations. 128 hours. Let it go get data. All right, so like, yeah, 128 hours. You see some areas with those purple shades with some significant rains over the last 128 hours. 7.6, 11, 7.9. So yeah, we've had some rain the last few days, no doubt about it. Ah, I was a nerd before they invented the word. See, there you go. Nothing wrong with that. How can they say Francine was a Cat 2 with 100-mile-per-hour winds when the same time only showing top winds of 77? There was a wind gust as it was making landfall, Dan, of 105 miles an hour. It was on Eugene Island. They read a 105-mile-per-hour wind gust. So that's how it can be a Category 2 storm. All right. Let's see here. I run a Python script locally that sends notifications when new data is added to APIs if you want it. Oh, see, Kev D, I would love something like that. Like having a general idea when it comes to hurricanes. So what you're doing is more than enough and very appreciated. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. My hubby knows when coffee talk is on. It doesn't bother me. How funny. I love that. I don't see myself not being here with you in the morning. Oh, thank you very much, Nancy. Beautiful thing. Thank you. Thank you. William, thank you. Rosebud says, you made me a weather nerd. I'll take that. I'll take that. Now I want to go watch Revenge of the Nerds. Hey, those are good movies. All of them. Also, see, like you say that, and it's like now I want to also go watch Animal House. Also a great movie. Oh, Polaris Dawn is amazing. It's amazing. Like Jared is such a. I've seen him perform. I've seen him in person. I was too afraid to go up and like shake the guy's hand. But Jared Isaacman, man, Rook. What a what a dude. What a dude. Man. Oh, Terry, thank you, thank you. Frank, thank you, thank you. That hurricane came up quickly, Catherine says. Mother Nature's not being kind. Yeah. That's why tracking storms a big deal. Denise says you make loving nerds pop. I don't think I made it, but thank you. Elliot said, I got a new job. May have to stop watching due to timing. Buddy, we'll still love you. You got to put food on the table. I get you. No worries. No worries. We're still going to be here. You just watch on tape delay. It's fine. It's fine. Matt said Rook is the real deal. Dude, right? Like, I feel like if I met him, I would just love him that much more. But every documentary I've seen, etc., dude seems like the real deal. Dude seems like the real deal. Will Francine impact Fort Myers? No. Francine's pulling away. No, not even close. Thanks, but that seems misleading to ordinary people. You see all these high wind forecasts and the actual winds surrounding the eye of the storm are about half or less. I don't know what to tell you, Dan. They said that maximum winds were at 100 miles an hour. There was a 105-mile-per-hour gust. That doesn't seem misleading. We have to understand, though, that in a hurricane, the peak winds are not over a massive area. They can be over a small area, right? And so even when we were looking at forecast, like we were watching WDSU yesterday, they were talking about strong tropical storm force wind gusts in the New Orleans area. So if you just look at the peak winds and think that's coming, then maybe that's just not understanding how these things work. But I think that our job as meteorologists is to explain how just because it says 100 miles an hour doesn't mean you're going to get 100 miles an hour at your house, right? That kind of thing. So we try to do our best. But yeah, they said peak winds were at 100, 105 were registered. So it seems like the Hurricane Center did a fantastic job there, you know? All right, let's see here. Did you see what he sent over? It's not him, but some fifth level intern. I did not. What, Matt? What do you? I didn't see. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Yeah. Aaron says, thank you for what you do. We survived the eye wall of Francine. It was no joke, and there's significant damage in my area and our neighboring towns. I was prepared and ready. Glad you were prepared. Sorry that you had to deal with that. Yeah. Hurricanes are like onions. It consists of layers. So true. Check your email from last week. Man, I got to be honest. I'm so bad at this. Not because I'm bad at checking email, but like I get bombarded and when I get bombarded, I lose things. So if you sent something, could you resend it, Matt? If not, I can go dig. I just don't even know what I'm looking for. I'm sorry. You kind of thought sustained winds in a storm had to be for a specific time. Yes, but I think that we don't have like stations everywhere, right? And so when they find winds, that it just kind of is what it is. But remember, sustained winds are what they're reading off of the hurricane hunters, and so the hurricane hunters are going to be able to find the worst of the weather better than like ground stations. So that's also where you get into the struggle is. Um, where you're reading data, the hurricane hunters are dropping drops on. So that's what they're registering for winds. They're sustained winds off of dropsons or SFMR data, that sort of thing. Yeah. Jenny's asking, is tomorrow going to be a washout? I've got a girls' night plans outside. All right, let's quickly check that. Futurecast. We'll do the extended just for you. I got you. I'm still waiting on a reply from an email about your kid swim instructor. Okay, if anybody ever tried to email me, could you just do it again? Now I will know in the next hour to look for it. I don't know why I'm on all these email lists. Hi, if you're interested in an interview about how to have better underwear to wear, then here's the. It's just like these PR companies are throwing email. I'm like, I'm a weather guy. I'm not going to do an interview about good underwear. Get out of my inbox. All right. So for tomorrow, beautiful sunshine. Tomorrow does look to be active, though. There's 3 p.m. popcorning up showers and storms, 5 o'clock widespread storms, 7, 8 o'clock widespread storms. Tomorrow looks to be stormier than today. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry if I missed your emails, people. I'm sorry. It doesn't just happen to you. My own boss will be like, my email. No, she doesn't do that, but she'll be like, hey, you never responded to this. And I'm just like, man, that's because I got 45 emails in a 10-minute stretch about people pitching story ideas. I don't know why this goes to my email. I've had the same work email address for 18 years, so I guess that's just the way that goes. They just keep. Anyway, all right. That's all I got. Maybe Apple Intelligence will help because Burris Intelligence ain't helping. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you all so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. Ooh, we went 8 minutes long. I got to go put a pot roast together. I'm going to get pow pow. I'm on Wesh 2 News at noon today, so I'll see you on TV for that. And then, yeah, we'll do Coffee Talk again tomorrow morning. Sound good? Thank you all so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I will see you on TV